Chapter 2, in which Pooh goes visiting and gets into a tight place. Edward Bear, known to his friends as Winnie the Pooh, or Pooh for short, was walking through the forest one day, humming proudly to himself. He had made up a little hum that very morning, as he was doing the stoutness exercise in front of the glass. Tra-la-la, tra-la-la, as he stretched up as high as he could go, and then tra-la-la, tra-la-la, oh, help, la, as he tried to reach his toes. After breakfast, he had said it over and over to himself until he had learnt it off by heart. And now he was humming it right through, properly. It went like this. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la, 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 rum-tum, tiddle-tum-tum, tiddle-little, 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 rum-tum-tum, rum-tum, tiddle-tum, rum-tum-tum, tiddle-lum. Well, he was humming this hum to himself and walking along gaily, wondering what everybody else was doing and what it felt like being somebody else, when suddenly he came to a sandy bank, and in the bank was a large hole. "Ah," said Pooh, "rum-tum, tiddle-rum-tum. If I know anything about anything, that hole means rabbit," he said. "And rabbit means company," he said. "And company means food, and listening to me humming and such like, rum-tum-tum, tiddle-um." So he bent down and put his head into the hole and called out, "Is anybody home?" There was a sudden scuffling noise from inside the hole, and then silence. What I said was, "Is anybody home?" called out Pooh very loudly. "No," said a voice, and then added, "You needn't shout so loud. I heard you quite well the first time." "Brother," said Pooh, "isn't there anybody here at all?" "Nobody." Winnie the Pooh took his head out of the hole and thought for a little while, and he thought to himself, there must be somebody there, because somebody must have said nobody. So he put his head back into the hole and said, "Hello, Rabbit, isn't that you?" "No," said the rabbit, in a different sort of voice this time. "But isn't that Rabbit's voice?" "I don't think so," said the rabbit. "It isn't meant to be." "Oh," said Pooh. He took his head out of the hole and had another think, and then he put it back and said, "Well, could you very kindly tell me where Rabbit is?" "He's gone to see a friend Pooh Bear, who's a great friend of his." "But that's me," said Bear, very much surprised. "What sort of me?" "Pooh Bear." "Are you sure?" said the rabbit, still more surprised. Quite sure," said Pooh. "Ah, well, then come in." See the picture here? This is Rabbit downstairs in the hole, and then the Pooh Bear is on all fours. So Pooh pushed and pushed and pushed his way through the hole, and at last he got in. "You were quite right," said Rabbit, looking him over. "It is you. Glad to see you." "Who did you think it was?" "Well, I wasn't sure. You know how it is in the forest. One can't have anybody coming into one's house. One has to be very careful. What about a mouthful of something?" Pooh always liked a little something at 11 o'clock in the morning, and he was very glad to see Rabbit getting out the plates and mugs, and when Rabbit said, honey or condensed milk with your bread, he was so excited and he said, both. And then so, as not to seem greedy, he added, but don't bother about the bread, please. And for a long time after that, he said nothing. Until at last, humming to himself in a rather sticky voice, he got up, shook Rabbit lovingly by the paw, and said that he must be going on. Miss you, said the Rabbit, politely. Well, said Pooh, I could stay a little longer if you... And he tried very hard to look the direction of the larder. As a matter of fact, said Rabbit, I was going out myself directly. Oh, well, then, I'll be going on. Goodbye. Well, goodbye. If you're sure you won't have any more, is there any more? Asked Pooh quickly. Rabbit took the covers off of all the dishes and said, no, there wasn't. I thought not, said Pooh, nodding to himself. Well, goodbye, I must be going. So he started to climb out of the hole. He pulled with his front paws and pushed with his back paws, and in a little while his nose was out in the open again. Adios. Happy Mother's Day. I know. Okay, I'll see you Monday. Say goodbye to Irene, Juliet. Oh, me gusta. Oh, bye-bye. Okay, bye, Irene. Gracias. Okay, so we're going to go back a little bit. So he started to climb out of the hole. He pulled with his front paws and pushed with his back paws. And in a little while, his nose was out in the open again. And then his ears. And then his front paws. And then his shoulders. And then... Oh, help, said Pooh. I'd better go back. Oh, brother, said Pooh. I shall have to go on. I can't do either, said Pooh. Oh, help and bother. What happened, Juliet? What happened to Pooh? Sounds like he's stuck. Christopher Robin nodded. Then there's only one thing to do, he said. We shall have to wait for you to get thin again. How long does getting thin take? Asked Pooh anxiously. About a week, I think. But I can't stay here for a week. You can stay here all right, silly old bear. It's getting you out which is so difficult. That's a little joke. Well, read to you. We will read to you, said Rabbit cheerfully, and I hope it won't snow, he added. And I say, old fellow, you're taking up a good deal of room in my house. Do you mind if I use your back legs as a towel horse? Because, I mean, they are doing nothing and would be very convenient just to hang towels on them. A week? Said Pooh gloomily. What about meals? I'm afraid no meals, said Christopher Robin, because of getting thin quicker. But we will read to you. Bear began to sigh, and then found he couldn't because he was so tightly stuck, and a tear rolled down his eye as he said, Then would you read a sustaining book such as would help and comfort a wedged bear in a great tightness? So for a week, Christopher Robin read the sort of book at the north end of Pooh, and Rabbit hung his washings on the south end. And in between, Bear felt himself getting slenderer and slenderer. And at the end of the week, Christopher Robin said, now. So he took hold of Pooh's front paws, and Rabbit took hold of Christopher Robin, and all Rabbit's friends and relations took hold of Rabbit, and they all pulled together. And for a long time, Pooh only said, ow, and oh, and then all of a sudden he said, pop, just as if a cork were coming out of a bottle. And Christopher Robin and Rabbit and all Rabbit's friends and relations went head over heels backwards, and on top of them came Winnie the Pooh, free. So with a nod of thanks to his friends, he went on with his walk through the forest, humming proudly to himself. But Christopher Robin looked after him lovingly and said to himself, "Silly old bear,